Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage. Today we're going to do a fun little video kind of figuring out the next steps with the big red truck. So over the winter we've been kind of just tinkering around in the truck and driving here and there around town. I kind of got a feel for what we need to do or what we want to do with the truck, which we'll get into in a little bit. But the big thing we're going to kind of do in this video is back the truck up to the shop and get it close to a car so we can start figuring out what we're going to do for ramps on the vehicle. So we need to make a game plan before we do anything, take some measurements of some cars in here and see what we can do. So we're going to start the truck up, back it in the shop, and try and get it inside the shop if possible. I don't know if I've ever...
It'll be close going over the hump.
I don't know if we've ever checked, but at least get it close to the door, maybe play with some wood and ramps and things and see at angles and what we're going to need to do, and we'll show you guys the thought process along the way.
Keep coming, Matt. Yep.
I don't think you want to drive the car over the tailgate.
Unless you made like some sort of support foot.
Put under it?
Yeah.
I still don't like that though. I'd almost rather put let the tailgate hang all the way down and build your ramps into that.
Problem is the bumperettes.
Well, that's far enough down that hopefully the ramp can kind of go like that. But let's see. Try some cheapo ramps and see. How crazy steep that angle is.
We're gonna need like 15-foot ramps. Watch the car.
So you need those to be...
Well, here, let's do this. Let's put the tailgate back up and just put the ramp on it, and that'll show us a different angle.
You're right. Could do something like that, and that's not nearly as crazy.
Still a little steep.
Well, yeah, definitely, it's too steep still, but it wasn't as crazy looking as it was before. Too much. No?
No, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, that's not terrible. Now, if we made them somehow fold up to make it easier to put them down, like if you had a hinge right here or something.
What do you mean?
Well, to make them fold up. So if you had a ramp that hinged here, you could fold it together like this, and it'd be like two of these stacked, and then you could slide them in there, and you don't have this,
Yeah.
We don't have a ramp we're pulling from the front all the way out. Unless you make a ramp that is like some of those trailers that you pick up and slide in and out. Like you just pick the back up and you drag it all the way out to here, set it on the ground, and maybe there's a leg that flips down in the middle.
Well, depending on how wide you make them, you could get them between the tires under the car.
Yeah. Yeah, but I want something that's like hooks. Oh yeah, I guess you could do that. I'm trying to think of something that's sort of in place. It's on tracks, so we don't have to think about it. Just kind of, it would like.
All the cars have pretty much the same track width front and rear, right?
Similar, yeah. I mean, they're all pretty similar. So what I'm saying is, can you make this one where right there there's a little bit of a hump up? So make this one just look up. So if you made the ramps fold right there, You could make it like this where it's real gradual here to get you on the tracks, and then it starts getting steeper there.
How would you hinge it though that when you drive over it doesn't?
That's what I'm saying, you have to put a leg.
Oh yeah.
You put a leg. Well, either way, if this was a one-piece ramp, you'd have to put a leg there. You can't have that kind of span with...
If you make it heavy enough, you can.
Right, yeah.
I don't know how you would make that heavy enough. It's gonna bow, maybe it won't break, but it's gonna bow every time you go on it and look sketchy, so even, you know, so I would think, I'm trying to think of something like this where it's like they're lightweight, so they're easy to throw in and out. Because if we make something heavy enough, like you're saying, it's gonna be like a 500-pound, 200-pound ramp that you need 3 guys to move. So something like this, one guy could pull these out, unfold the ramp, put the leg down, and if you got electric winch, you can just put a car up with one guy. But I know it's gonna get, I've had old car trailers over the years that were like, the ramps were homemade and super heavy, and it's like, it ends up being so annoying every time you have to lug it around. And since Steve's gonna be our truck driver, he's gonna have to load some of this stuff while we're...
Steve don't touch no freight.
You're retired?
The truck,
Steve only backs in, that's all Steve does.
Steve
Stays there and smokes his cigar while we fiddle around with the ramps. Guys are doing a hell of a job. Hell of a job.
But something like that, I mean, that might be too steep of a... I don't know.
No, that'll actually work because it'll help get the ass end of the car up when the engine, which is the scrub point on most of the cars, that helps get the back end up a little higher to transition.
That's true.
So we don't have the problem like we had in South Carolina where the rear's still like on the ground and the transmissions or the belt, oil pans smashing into that.
Well, having this, if we do use this as a like part of the ramp, that will help as well because it's not a sharp edge. You're kind of like going up over.
I don't know how to support that in a way that it's not gonna.
Yeah, I don't love running over the tailgate every time. I think it's gonna.
That tailgate is not in great shape. It's pieced together on the other side.
Yeah. Well, I'm more concerned about
Oh, the wall too.
the wall.
Yeah, it's gonna pull.
Well, I'd build a leg of some kind to hold it.
Yeah.
You just get into a lot of pieces then. That's the only
That's
thing.
what I'm trying to get to. If we can get to a way that, like if that was your ramp and it was hinged and you got a leg you got to fold down or put under it, like that's honestly like, I've seen old race car photos. They did this and then they put 2 jack stands under it and that's how they
Yeah,
What you could do is get
with
a
them anyhow, so yeah.
4x4s and screw them together in a configuration that's a block that you just set down and they like lock in.
They sell ramps that like moving trucks use, like furniture trucks.
They're like
They sell-
$2,800.
Are they that much?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I've looked them up.
Oh,
You can
okay.
get them. You can get them for those that trailer like the Eric that moved the stuff in Texas for us.
yeah.
You can get them for that, and they're over $2,000.
Are they that- okay,
I think they might
I
even be
didn't know.
5. Like
These ramps were $110,
I like that.
but
price a lot
they're
more.
not meant for. They're only good to 1,500 pounds
Well,
as
if
a
you
pair.
double them up, that's 3,000.
as a pair.
I don't think that's the way the math works. I like my math.
they're 1,500 each.
No,
Or, I mean,
1,500 as a working pair.
oh, okay. So it's set
$750 each.
$750 each, but a lot of these cars are pretty like we can't fit the Mercury in there. So what's
Well, we were looking at ramps. There was some that are like 2,000 pounds that are a little bit longer because these are 7 foot. We found an 8 foot set.
okay.
Or 8 or 9 foot set. That's good to 2,500. That was like $250.
You have to buy 2 sets, so then
Yeah.
you're at 5.
Well,
Well,
if we're doing it this way, where you're going to hinge it,
if you get the better set that's for more money, use these at the bottom.
true.
And
Get
put
the-
the heavier ones up top.
That's
where
true.
You're higher off the ground and you got more of a span.
Right.
higher
Yeah,
off the
that's
ground.
true.
Maybe-
and up top, I'd make a way that they actually fixture.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
like hammer or
obviously.
something
Yeah.
right in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious. It needs to actually have a pin that locks in somehow.
Yeah.
And can't slide. So that would be, yeah, definitely on that. But I was trying to think of something like this. These are nice and light. They're easy to use. If we just somehow modify them that they hinge or
Yep.
that might be an easier way. They're just so lightweight. And for me to recreate that, it would be even if we went to Glicks and got the material to make something like this, it would be way more than that to
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
plus the time. So I kind of like the idea of buying a couple sets of these, and we modify them to hinge and pin and lock, and we All right, so we have realized that we're going to have to probably shop around, see if we can find some pre-made ramps. We think with these cheap Harbor Freight ones, we probably, with adding some legs to it and doing some modifications, we could probably make them work. But we're back to the problem where they're pretty narrow.
What are these, 10 inches, I think?
10, yeah.
Yeah, they're 10 inches wide. You know, the width of the tire is 4 on the skinny ones. The back of this is, let's say 5 inches. So you have 2.5 inches on either side.
And there's some stagger front to rear as well, of track width.
Correct, yes. But what I'm getting at is even to load it perfectly straight, you only have 2.5 inches on either side of the tire of fudge room if the car isn't on straight. That's not a lot. So we probably need to either shop around, see if we can find some kind of cheap solution for ramps that we can modify, or we're gonna have to start looking into like stepping up and buying some kind of either pre-made ramp that is a lot wider and meant for what we're doing, or we have to call like maybe a local heavy fab shop that can make us up something with a big giant press brake and tools that we don't have.
I'm sure they'll leave comments down below of what exactly we need to do.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a measure. For now, what we're gonna do is also take some measurements of cars. When I bought this thing, I had Chase that we bought the truck from, just like give me some measurements real quick, and I was like, yeah, that seems like it'll work. We've never really measured this and walked in and measured the bed to actually get an idea of how well one of these cars is gonna fit, so this is a good example. So if you wanna go over there, we'll measure front and rear width, and then we'll measure length. So outside of the hubcap?
Yep.
It's roughly 66 inches.
All right.
You remember that, Mike?
66.
66.
We can measure the height of the windshield for this one too.
Let's say 70 inches.
70.
66 and
You
70.
can drop the tape right down there to measure height of windshield.
I have to write this down because I feel like we're getting more measurements.
Steve, where's your Sharpie's over on the workbench?
Got it.
Let's just call it 53 inches.
66, 70, 53. I forgot already.
66 is front track width. 70 is rear track width. 53 is windshield height. Or height of car, rather. And it's actually a little lower than that because we're on
dollies, yeah.
dollies right now. But that gives us a rough idea of this car. And then let's do length.
Overall length, yeah. So probably frame horn to...
On this one, the tail light because it sticks out so far.
Right.
Got those big old pointy bra. So let's say, I'm just going to call it 140 to be safe. It's more like 138, 39.
140.
140.
All right, so we will hop up in here.
We can't load a car while it's in the garage, I will say that.
That would be
Oh,
like
when I gotta do soffit lights, this is perfect.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to put that on the to-do while I'm gone. Do
What?
soffit lights. The truck's already right here. All right. So... roughly, I'm gonna have some fudge room. 156, 157. It's probably 158.
just squeezing.
And what's the car?
140.
Okay, so we got a foot,
Yep.
basically.
I remember we talked about with the Red 34, I think it would fit with the tailgate down because the back end of the car hangs out so much. The fenders and the bumper.
I measured the Red 34, and it was
Right, yeah, the bumpers on that thing stick out.
Yeah,
pretty
so the
far.
bumper would stick out, but pretty much any of the. Now that's a 32. We should probably measure your car, Mike, and see what a fenderless 34 is.
Measure the width real quick.
Yeah.
We should also measure front and back to the box to make sure it doesn't taper or something stupid.
So
No, we should measure, actually, the walls do come in, we should measure the rear width, the rear opening. That's fine.
80, it's just under 82, so 81 and
So we got room.
81 and 3/4. So
Yeah.
what we were at, the widest point was
70.
okay.
Yep.
So that we could get, as far as width goes, you could fit most anything, even with something with a wider rear.
So most banjos after 40 had pretty much the same width, right?
I think 46-8 might be the widest, but it might be a little wider than that. We could measure my Model 8 coupe. So what do we say for height here? 53.
53 inches, yep.
So that's pretty cool. The windshield frame would be
Basically, the cowl top will probably
Yeah.
be flush with the.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And actually, it sits a little lower because it's on dolly, so
Right,
it'll
so
probably be
deduct a few inches, yeah.
So literally, just the windshield you'll see. That's it.
yeah. We'll have to measure like the 33.3 window and see what that's at or something.
Uh-huh. Oh, measure the front of the box to make sure it doesn't. We'll get a car halfway up here and it's like it's tighter up front.
Right.
A lot tighter.
80, just under 86.
Oh wow, it actually gets much wider.
Yeah, well, the door opening comes in, so
Oh,
the
okay.
rear opening is going to be the narrowest.
So yeah, let's measure the 34 to get an idea.
My car is being used as a prop.
Frame horns are only as far as your front tires on this one.
Uh-huh.
So the body sticks out a little bit. So 148, 149
Just barely. It was 150.
is what that was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it'll just fit with the. Now I made that a little short. It was no, I think that was like 158.
Yeah. So
There's a little bit of room.
yeah.
Just a little less.
Well, I think with the red 34 we measured with front bumper and rear bumper, it was enough to fit in there, but it
Yeah, I
couldn't
remember.
close the
Yep.
tailgate.
Yeah, definitely. But you wouldn't be able to close the tailgate because the tailgate's probably too tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be a problem.
Yep.
Well, I don't foresee us putting that car in the back of this.
No, it's probably going to be little roadsters in there. You know.
The T race car.
Yeah, stuff like that would be in the back of it. Let's measure the height of the 3 window here. Just for a car. So what was it, 53 inches was the other one?
Do the back.
Yeah, the back edges.
That's probably the highest there. Is the
And then we could subtract for the dollars. So this is 58 or 59.
oh, it's really not that much.
And then
2 inches, probably
it's
56.
3, it's almost 4 inches.
Well, the
or 3
wheel-
inches.
Wheel sits down in.
It's 3 inches. So 50, would I say 58?
So 55.
So 55, and that was 53. So similar deal would only be like,
You're gonna see like this much.
that's kind of badass, because you're like driving like, what is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
If I saw that driving down the road with like that car in the
Just
back,
instantly follow them
I would
everywhere.
follow them wherever they were
Turning
going.
around, yeah.
I need to see what's in there.
So the next question is, what are we gonna do for an engine?
So this thing, so we'll wrap up our BS video here. We figured out lots of things. So we rebuilt the carburetor in this. We've been driving it around, and the accelerator pump again died in this thing, and the carb's giving us trouble again. After rebuilding it, it was all warped, and we sanded it and smoothed it and flattened it out. And we've already put a lot more work into this thing than really I'd like to, as far as getting it to even drive around. It's underpowered. Maybe top speed is 40 or 45. So I've been thinking it would be pretty cool to do a Cummins swap in this. So we've been working on talking to some buddies that are into this stuff and gathering some parts, and that might be the plan for that this summer, because I think it would be helpful in the long run. My real goal with this truck was to put a car in the back or put stuff in the back, maybe even build a better hitch so we can pull a trailer, and kind of like the meat truck on steroids. We can take it to Hershey filled with parts or with a car inside of it and a trailer pulling all of our parts, so we can kind of have this, you know, traveling circus, if you will, of stuff. And in order to do that, this engine is, if it's just driving around not loaded up, 40, 45, we're going to be doing 30 miles an hour all the way to Hershey, which is terrible. And I'd like to take this further. So I think we're going to try and source with like a 12 valve Cummins. My buddy Clint, we've been talking to, that might help us out. He was saying about doing a 6-speed from a newer Cummins engine, doing the engine mounts, same stuff we do here, just bigger engine, doing a swap in it, getting a drive shaft made, and then we'll have this stick shift truck that will have some kind of overdrive, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll go faster than 45 miles an hour. We know it will definitely pull a load at a higher speed with that type of setup than what we have. So this truck isn't some highly collectible, rare, you know, originality type deal, so I think swapping the engine isn't going to really be any type of sin. But I'm sure we'll have some kind of antique truck club guide that will comment.
It'll definitely add to the value. It won't hurt the value.
It won't, yeah, but it's just like hot rods where guys will complain because you chop the roof on a car, but nowadays that makes it worth it.
We could also chop the roof and make it flush a little bit lower.
Nah. So I think that's the goal. Do an engine swap in this thing, work on building some ramps this summer, building or locating some ramps, and then hopefully all in one we will have a truck that drives better, has some more power, and we'll have the ramps all set up. I think we're going to put a winch up in the front, build some sort of plate that will go in there with a winch, and then we can run a winch on these ramps. Because it's still fairly narrow to get up in there, I think it would be better if we just use like a wireless controller with a winch, and we could just pull it right up in there, and you can essentially just have to like steer it, and we'll figure all that out. So if you have an idea for the ramps, or maybe you know somebody that has an old set of those loading ramps for a big semi type trailer, or maybe you used to haul cars for a living cross country and you have some extra ramps,
or just some expertise on how to make this work.
Any sort of help you could give us would be fantastic, because we're gonna have to figure this out. But should be really fun. Thank you guys. We thought this would be cool to kind of give you an idea of what's to come with this truck. Appreciate you guys following along. Definitely down below. Drop some comments if you got some ideas. We always love the discussion in the comments. It's both comical and helpful sometimes. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Catch you later.